A very good evening to all specified learned persons present here. And today my topic of concern is drug usages and their effects on mental and physical health of adolescents population, deteriorating social norms, forensic perspective. In forensic laboratory, large number of cases of criminal acts is reporting every day. And a steep rise in crime committed by and to the adolescents, it requires to aware them about uses and after effects of recreational drugs and crime associated to them. The effects of the drugs, it may vary considerably according to the method of intake, like orally, nasally, inhalation, smoking, or by intravenous, intramuscular, or subcutaneous injections. And they may be intensified by the coincidental alcohol use. Certain common features emerge which may be related directly and specifically to the drug, and other clinical features may also arise in a non-specific way from complications of injections or the coma. In Indian scenario, the requirement of adolescent aged population is not discussed, and it leads to complications in later age of adulthood. Ignorance of laws and effects of various factors on their lifestyle leads to criminal acts. A big percentage of adolescent population is under the grab of high stress, usage of recreational drugs, and deteriorating moral values is a matter of concern before affecting their mental and physical health at a drastic, impossible, alarming stage of cure. Every responsible society and their educationist needs to get aware and alert to say our youths and provide them environment full of values and ensuring them of a safe life for the future. At age of these adolescents, there are various hormonal changes and leads to sexual desires, and social sites are always available or internet that boost this desire in a very wrong way. And at this stage, every parent and educationist needs to get them aware of their desires in a very natural way and telling them of having strong mental and physical bar before attending the age of 18 years. If we see the scenario, there is a high rise in the drug addiction. 10 out of every 100 persons admitted, they are under the age of 21. As many as 100 persons, a majority being youngsters, are admitted every month. If we see the Pune's largest and oldest de-addiction center, and where Mukta Puntembekar, project director, says that at least 10% of the 100 admitted are the youngsters under the age of 21. While a fair share of drug addicts at the center are from Pune, there are also cases from Mumbai and other parts of the country. Earlier, the cases of drug abuse were in the age group of 35 to 40, but now the cases starting from 14 years itself. And there has been a substantial rise, likewise 70% in youths and 50% in the cases of females. And as I'm here in Kota, I found the district of Rajasthan, it is famous for student studies, but on the other way, the youths are being derailed using drugs. If we see the harm caused by the drugs, the harms to the user, the harm to others, so this is the graphical scenario that alcohol, heroin, crack cocaine, methamphetamine, cocaine, tobacco, cannabis, benzodiazepines, ketamines, methadone are being taking, they gives a lot of harm to the users and instead it gives harm to other also. So we see that students under the drug grab and sleuths of the Hyderabad narcotic informants to being busted a drug peddling racket, and they arrested 5 persons and recovered 36 MDMA that worth rupees 4 lakhs. And these police identify 16 customers, and most of them are students from the various colleges. If we see the world status of drug use among youths, this is a graphical presentation where tobacco use among youths, like while cigarette smoking is down among high school students, use in some other categories is up slightly, like cigars, smokeless tobacco, pipes, hookahs, and electronic cigarettes are also in a high use for the adolescent population. And this steep rise of drug addiction is also related to the suicides in Indian scenario. If we see the graphical presentation of different states, we have found a large more percentage in Kerala, Maharashtra, then Tamil Nadu, Tripura, and most of the states are involved in these suicides in India. The important thing is that there is a start and no back in cases of drug addiction. Curiosity, kick, and fun means some of the factors that pull youths into their first time. And this first time, what they discover, the trap they have forgotten, they have gotten into, which may take from a few months to several years, it's too late for them. Now, drug abuse is gradually gripping city students, and city-based rehabilitation centers and counselors unanimously say that the youth have moved on from charas ganja and they are abusing different kinds of drugs. If we see the substance abuse and crimes affecting the youth of the country, we have found many factors, like some of the factors that contribute to substance abuse are addiction in the family, sleep issues, persistent discomfort, financial problems, divorce or death of a loved one, tobacco users over a long time. Then in childhood, there was a lack of parenting, bonding due to a tense home situations, relationship problems are there. The reason ranging from social anxiety, fights with parents, stress, nuclear families are there. There are a lot of social constructs. And if we look into the chemicals which are being used for this drug addictions are KCl, ergotamine, phenyramine, morphine, tetrahydrocannabinol, some of the drugs, the sniffers drugs like hydrocarbons, alcohol, simple IDEX, and gamma hydroxybutyric acid, ketamine, and many, many more. When we see the drug samples uses, we have found it leads to mental health issues. And Chaitanya Mental Health Center provides rehabilitation services for persons with mental disorders. They reserve 60 beds for alcohol and drug addicts, but now they are saying that it's no longer getting a high on Corex capsule for the traditional marijuana. Now new methods are being taken up by these adolescents, and something like getting a high from even Fevicol based products. And taking these products, it is called sniffing. For instance, a huge amount of Fevikwik that has an acrid smell is put in a plastic bag, and the person just put his or her head in it, and it inhales that this hydrocarbon sniffing. Addicts are experimenting with substances like mephedrone, and prolonged use of marijuana. It causes mental health issues like hallucinations, delusions, and paranoia. So these are the many reports which we come across every day. And this is a picture depiction of the different sorts of drugs like methamphetamines, cocaine, ketamines, various painkillers, heroin, steroids, lysergides, LSDs, marijuana that are being utilized in drug addiction. And if we see the position of women, the epidemic of drug addiction now grips our many states women, specifically Punjab women are involved. And the twister of drugs is blowing away the lives of thousands of women in this state. Those who once fought for the lives of their husbands and brothers they are now fighting for themselves due to this addiction. And if we see the highlights related to the drug addiction in women, we have found specific symptoms with cracked lips and shriveled bodies. Women drug addicts are showing up in droves at the de-addiction centers in Punjab. And the women who once fought for the lives of their husband and brothers are now fighting for themselves. And be it at colleges, universities, or homes, women are using hard drugs openly. And the psychiatrist says that many families they are deserted because of the addicted women. They are also deserted from their homes and only choose treatment for male members, because we are not providing treatment to such women here. If we see the signs of prescription drug addiction, we have found that if anyone notes such sort of symptoms, it is an alarming stage, and one should be very precautionary in its working, looking to the different members of our family, our children and siblings, etc., for each other. Any member may be affected due to these signs. Likewise, there is a changes in appetite. So there is a weight loss, there is a difficulty in sleeping, writing, no motor coordination when something is written, on bloodshot eyes and changes in the pupil size. Always we have find a secretive behavior, checking the mobile phones, taking away and sitting sidewise. So these are some secretive behaviors you'll find. Always find a person sitting in alone, excessive absences from schools and work, and there are a lot of mood swings when we say something, they react very badly. So these addicts are experimenting with substances like methadone, and it creates mental health issues like hallucination, delusion, and paranoia. So when we relate the drugs and crime in this context, forensic science plays an important role in uncovering many crimes associated with use of drugs. The use of drugs as sedative drugs, anesthetics, ketamines, stimulants, hallucinogens, organic solvents affects mental and physical health. And we need awareness, and drug addiction is therefore highly need to know for the management of problems of adolescence generations. If I'm here, I would like to highlight a case of unusual death of a medical girl due to the vacuronium bromide, which is a neuromuscular blocker of intermediate duration. And it is a non-depolarizing skeletal muscle relaxant that used for endotracheal intubations and to provide muscle relaxations when in general anesthesia for the surgical procedures. So it was quite surprising when we get the fragments of this neuromuscular blocker in a 20-year-old student of named Jaipur, Rajasthan, and who was found unconscious in her hostel room, and she got died within 40 to 45 minutes during the treatment, as stated by the police. Then her friends and medical staff made out different stories about her death, but no results match with these stories. And when material sent to a facility analyzed, it was also conveyed that she had taken tetanus vaccine. However, clues like empty injection ampules and used syringes were not found in the hostel room. And there were attempts were made to find out the unknown drug. The metabolic fragments of vacuronium bromide drug were observed under our observations using gastrometography mass spectrometry, and it was well correlated with the basic molecular structure of the vacuronium, and that mysteries was solved at our part. But uses of this medicinal drug, we have found that this vacuronium bromide can be used as a part of a drug cocktail that prisons in the United States use as a means to put a condemned prisoner to death. Vacuronium bromide is used to paralyze the prisoners and stop his or her breathing in conjunction with a sedative and potassium chloride to stop the prisoner's heart. Injections of vacuronium bromide without proper sedations have been known to cause excruciating pain to the prisoners. And in 2001, Japanese nurse Daisuke Mori was reported to have murdered 10 patients using this specific drug. And he was convicted of murder and was sentenced to life imprisonment. There were methods of this drug detection by LCMS, and the detection by mass using GCMS and TLC in this case becomes very significant for the investigation. And the structural elucidations specifies differences with other similar group drugs work as neuromuscular blocker. The attempt of identification of this unknown drug definitely becomes significant, and the established fact about this drug correlates with the findings. And this drug must be administered by a trained personnel in an equipped facility to monitor, assist, and control respiration. Skeletal muscle weakness, decreased respiratory reserve, low tidal volume, apnea. These are the symptoms associated with this drug overdose. Peripheral nerve stimulator may be used to monitor recovery from blockade and to differentiate between the prolonged neuromuscular blockade from other causes of diminished respiratory reserve. And in managing the neuromuscular blockade, it may be reversed by administration of cholinesterase inhibitors like neostigmine and pyridostigmine or adrophonium. I would also like to highlight the death case of Indian Bollywood star Sushant Singh Rajput, and he was a successful Bollywood actor. He committed suicide by hanging, and the NCB Narcotics Control Bureau has submitted its draft proposing to charge 35 accused under various sections of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. And NCB draft charge accused abetted Sushant Singh Rajput to extreme drug addiction. They booked these accused in the alleged drug case filed following the death of this actor and investigating criminal conspiracy with each other for distribution of drugs in the high society and the Bollywood. So when we see the delivery of drugs for Sushant Singh Rajput, it had been taken place since 2018, and they add that in 2020 drugs were procured by his flatmate to aid and abet the actor to extreme drug addiction, and they called it as Puja Samagri. The evidence of cocaine procurement from a Nigerian national and cannabis and ganja from two accused several times was also found. An accused indulged in the offenses for sale of drugs for the monetary gain, but they take lives of so many persons. If we look into the stories of the top scorer who grabbed under the drug use, I would also like to highlight that a girl who was very excellent in her studies throughout her school years had always been a topper and was good at tennis also. And when she was 15 in the junior college, here we have schools, so she fell in love with a 19-year-old guy from the same college who was into substance abuse. Now, soon she was also addicted to the same substance, and though she was from a well-to-do family, when she started falling short of money to buy this marijuana, she started stealing money to feed her addictions. And later she was not only taking the drugs, but was also selling them to her college friends. Now, 6 months ago, she was hospitalized at a rehabilitation center, and students are not only doing drugs, but they are also partying. So these were the reports we have found from various institutes of the country. And if we see the reports in April 2016, we have found that the number of drug abuse cases in females and youngsters in the age group of 14 to 60 years has increased substantially. College students not only take drugs, but they are also paralleling these drugs and these days for easy money, and the drugs are easily available at cheap rates in the slum areas. So what is the treatment and what rehabilitation centers can do? So it was also found that whenever the center has approached the educational institutes to conduct awareness programs, they refuse due to the fear that such programs will expose their students to drugs. And same is the case with parents. They say when they learn that their child has become a prey to addiction, they blame his friends at the institutes. So both college and parents, they are in a denial. And at the rehabilitation center, mostly 1 month long course is there for the addicts. They are treated both with medicines and psychological counseling. Art-based therapy is accepted among youths who show their creative skills. And the counseling sessions are intense, and while some get clean, there are children who still relapse despite the treatment. They again involved in the drug addiction. So the rehabilitation process at Chaitanya can take a while with a minimum of 3 months. If we say when the battle is won in such addiction cases, the battle is won if person decide to give up the addiction. But if they are at the center due to family pressure or fear of the police, then it takes a really long time to get them clean. So the recovery rate is slow at times, while there is a hope at the end of the tunnel. but the recovery is very slow and there are possibilities of relapse too in some cases. So once treated at the center, the person needs family support and shouldn't be left alone. So this should be taken care of. If we say issues related to rehabilitation, so I would highlight a case of 16-year-old boy whose father was based in Dubai and mother was a principal in a school. And the boy would be alone at home and abuse drugs. And tackling such cases is very difficult when we contacted the person performing this treatment for such abused persons. Now, this attributing the rise of drug abuse among adolescents, and they explained about the societal changes, the role of social media, and easily available money is the basis behind these problems. And rehabilitation centers now they are being treated like the dumping grounds. Whoever is in addiction, they are being drawn there. So some rehabilitation centers are cashing in on the rising case of the drug abuse. People are using their centers as dumping ground for the addicts. While there are centers that are genuinely working to tackle the problems, but some are only there for making money. The result is that there is a right approach for treatment of the problem. Awareness in society is increasing, and now people are going early to the rehabilitation centers as compared to the earlier days. Because in earlier days, it took years to accept the problem that someone is under the grab of drug addiction. An addict requires a recovery period of 90 to 120 days in which his red blood cells regenerates and reducing the chances of relapse. Here we take a name of suppose a boy or a girl, Mona, and he thought her boyfriend was cool when he spurred her to try cigarettes and alcohol. Soon the kick wasn't enough for the 22-year-old budding doctor, and she moved on to hard drugs like heroin. Months later, her parents realized that their daughter, who was studying in Punjab's top medical colleges, had become a full-blown addict. They admitted her at a rehabilitation center in Amritsar city, where she is recovering now and having lost the cravings. If addiction starts between 14 to 18 years, prognosis is very difficult. If we talk to the Jagrati Rehabilitation Center, we have found that 50% of the total patients, they are college students. While there are few girls, most are boys. In at least 80% cases, there is a relapse after treatment. These all are the things that has been given by the project directors who run these rehabilitation center, and it becomes very difficult for 14 to 18 years old child to rehabilitate. So when we see the components of comprehensive drug abuse treatment, we have find that there should be family services, child care services, vocational services, mental health service providers are there, medical services should be there, educational services, HIV/AIDS services, legal services, financial services are there, house transportation services are there. So we have to make an intake processing assessment, treatment plan, pharmacotherapy, continued care, substance use monitoring, self-help and peer support groups, clinical and case management groups are there. We should go for behavioral therapy and counseling sessions. So these all are required to rehabilitate and to treat persons who are under the grip of drug addictions. And with this, I would like to say thank you to the organizers and all the learned persons sitting here. And with this, I may stop here.